Hey guys, Tony here. Back once again, and I figured it's about time I came back on and talked a little bit about Neil Young's latest release, A Letter Home. His latest album. Now, it's been out for a little while on vinyl only, and I believe the CD comes out this week. But another thing that comes out this week is, now this is the regular album release here, released through Third Man Records. And Reprise Records, but Third Man Records. But what also comes out this week is the deluxe box set of A Letter Home. So yeah, check it out. So I wanted to come on, talk a little bit about the box set and a little bit about the album, and give you a look at what the box set is like. It's a beast. It's a beauty as well. It's a very really nice box set. So I'll take you through it. I'll try to be as quick as I can, but yeah. So Neil Young's A Letter Home, just in case you don't know the backstory. So Record Store Day 2013, I believe, Neil travels to Nashville and visits Jack White, formerly of the White Stripes, at his record store in Nashville, Third Man Records. And he sees that Jack owns one of these machines, a voiceograph machine from 1947. Now, this is one of those machines in which, back in the day, you could go in this sort of phone booth size thing and go inside the box, and you record your voice, or you can record a song. And as you're recording, the machine cuts it directly to a vinyl, a 7-inch. And when you're done, it gives you the record. You get one unique record as a gift or a keepsake. So Jack recently bought one of these machines and had it restored, and I believe it's the only working one open to the public. So yeah, Neil goes in there and records a song. He comes out, and the story is that he tells Jack White, I could record a whole album in there, and I don't think Jack White believed him, but of course this is Neil Young we're talking about, so yeah, leave it to him to record an album in this sort of format. It's a very rough sounding album, in case you haven't heard. One microphone, okay, so it's very rough, very primitive sounding. Imagine old Robert Johnson recordings, where you got one microphone. Very much, it's cut straight to vinyl, so you get a real rough vinyl sound no matter what, So yeah, so what this is to is covers. There's songs written by other singer-songwriters whom Neil admires, and for the most part, I believe there's songs that sort of, while he was coming up, growing up, discovering who he was as a musician and songwriter, these songs sort of helped shape who he became. And his song choices are fantastic. You could tell that Neil sort of has a real connection to a lot of these songs. Now, another thing about this album is that it was released without any promotion. If you're a fan, you follow Neil, you heard that he was recording with Jack White, and you heard it was recorded in this booth, but there wasn't a lot of details, and weren't quite sure we were going to get. Then a video surfaced. There was a tribute show for the late Burt Jansch, who had passed away, and one of the songs Neil covers on here is The Needle of Death. So he released one of those performances, a film of it, and a recording for that show, in which they aired the video at the show. So that surfaced and then was quickly taken down from the internet. And then I think it popped up again. But then Record Store Day, this past one that just passed, it was released. So if you went to Third Man Records, you could have bought it that day, or starting that day you could order it online. But again, there was no promotion, so there was nothing to let anybody know. I believe if you just happened to go on the website and you saw that these were for sale. So thank goodness somebody let me know, or I saw something online, because I had no idea. And I got one of the first batch that came out. It quickly went out of print real quick. They ran out, and the next day, these were up on eBay, and they were getting these tons of bids. It was getting up to like $100+ for this, and shortly after, Third Man Records posted more. So yeah, so let me quickly talk about a few other things I think I want to say about this. Is that this is actually Neil's first solo acoustic album. So yeah, outside of live albums, you know, this is his first true solo acoustic album, with the exception of Jack White appearing on 2 tracks. Um, and it's interesting that he would decide to do this. Now, again, leave it to Neil to do something like this. Like, think of Jack White or any other artist, like, who just happens to own or have access to one of these machines. They might record maybe a little intro or outro or 1 track for their album, but only Neil would record a whole album this way, you know, and of course leave it to him. But I should say too that when I first got this, having not really heard much of it, I saw Neil live at Carnegie Hall in January, and he performed 2 songs from this at that show. He performed The Needle of Death, which is phenomenal. I might as well talk about that real quick. The Needle of Death is by Bert Jansch, and such a great song. Neil has said, and when you listen to the song, you know, you quickly realize Neil sort of lifted the riff, a little bit of the melody for his song Ambulance Blues, which he said he kind of did unintentionally. But yeah, he played that, and he also said that song inspired his song, The Needle and the Damage Done. So when I saw him play The Needle of Death, he went right into A Needle and the Damage Done, which was very cool. But yeah, he also played Changes by Phil Ochs, one of the most beautiful, poetic songs ever written. I mean, Phil Ochs is just so underappreciated these days. But yeah, great performances all around. And but outside of those and the video that had surfaced, I had no idea what to expect. So when this arrived, I gotta say, I put it on and I listened to it, and I felt, I don't want to say maybe slightly underwhelmed, or I just didn't quite know what to make of it. Again, with no promotional push, there was almost nothing to go on ahead of time. I mean, when Neil puts out an album, there's usually videos and things, or chances are you heard the whole album before you actually got it, you know, online. But there was none of that this time. So there were almost no preconceived sort of notions about what this album would be. Very little. So when I put it on, I kind of felt it was a little bit hokey, like a little bit gimmicky, you know. And I listened to it once, and I just put it down, and I didn't listen to it for a few days, which is unlike me when it comes to a new Neil Young album. But then I put it on again, and I quickly got past the sound, that rough, really rough sort of, you know, very lo-fi sound that this album has, and focused more on his performances and these songs. Now, if you're a music fan, chances are you already know most of these songs on here. Neil's performances are really heartfelt, and again, you feel like he really has a connection to a lot of these songs, and his song choices are just really impeccable in my opinion. And it's also sort of a fun album. One other thing I should mention too is that this is his second covers album. He doesn't want you to call it a covers album. Something more in the folk tradition, you know, where folk singers' songs are passed down from musician to musician. But he also put out Americana in 2012, which is mostly really old folk songs done with Crazy Horse in a real rockin' way. And I love that one right away. You know, I thought that was a really fun album. And listen to his version of Clementine, the old standard Clementine, and it is just killer. It is so fantastic. And the thing is, I heard people say they didn't like that one at all, which I didn't understand. But yeah, this one at first, it took me a little while to warm to it. Once I got past that sound, I just, you know, I really started to enjoy it and see it for what it was. Just a really nice album of Neil doing these songs, really making them his own, which of course, you know, with Neil playing them, there's no way he's not going to do that. I should say too, the performances are also very sort of rough. The performances themselves, Neil has said that a lot of times he was stepping into this booth not quite knowing some of the chord changes or what, you know, sort of what, you know, how he was going to perform these, you know. Specifically, I think he said that about Girl from the North Country by Dylan, and that's one of the ones where he just really makes it his own. It's like he could have written it, and the same could be said for a lot of these songs. So it opens up with an intro, A Letter Home, which is he speaking to his mother who had passed away a long time ago, his mother, Rassie Young, because that's what people did in these booths. They made recordings for loved ones far away, and then they mailed off the records so, you know, their loved ones could hear their voice. So he talks a little bit about his mother, and it's really sort of, it's a little bit touching, you know, like he's also talking about the weather and things like that. So it's an interesting thing. And then he goes into Changes by Phil Ochs, which I said, just one of the greatest songs, so poetic, and I'm glad I got to see him play that live. Then Girl from the North Country by Dylan, again, fantastic. The Needle of Death, and then he does Early Morning Rain by Gordon Lightfoot, just a great song, and again, he makes it his own. He does Crazy on here. I'll talk about that one in a little bit. Crazy, Willie Nelson wrote that, and Patsy Cline, I think, made it famous. Reason to Believe, Tim Hardin, one of the best on here, without a doubt. He does On the Road Again with Jack White, and that's, you know, a fun song, you know, with the piano. If You Could Read My Mind, probably for me the best thing on here. Gordon Lightfoot again, and just such a beautiful song. Since I Met You Baby by Ivory Joe Hunter, you know, classic blues track. My Hometown by Bruce Springsteen. I've heard people say negative things about this, but I couldn't imagine Neil performing any other Springsteen song, really. I mean, if you haven't heard him do this, and you think about that song, My Hometown, and you imagine Neil playing it, it sounds exactly how you would imagine it. You know, he does it. He does it well. And then he closes with I Wonder If I Care As Much by the Everly Brothers. Really nice track. So yeah, here's the album. This is the standard album, which you got. This is from the first run that was released. And there is Dead Wax, a message in the Dead Wax. Side 1 says, "We do need a weatherman," which he references a weatherman in his letter to his mother, his note to his mother. And then from 1123 Grosvenor Ave, which was his childhood address in Canada, which he also references. Let me put this back, and I will show you the inner sleeve. And really quick, I'll get to the box. So yeah, the inner sleeve, and there's lyrics. So yeah, just a plain, no frills sort of release by Neil. $20. I know a lot of people complain about the Neil's vinyl prices. Well, $20, So yeah, the box set now. A Letter Home. Now, when I got this thing, I looked at it and I'm like, I don't even want to open it because I know what this is. The cover is masking tape, real masking tape with real handwritten Neil Young, A Letter Home, and that's a real photograph just taped on. Now, I imagine I haven't put it in my shelf at all. I'll probably put it up top with the rest of my Neil Young stuff, but got to be really careful because, if something rubs against it, you're going to nick the picture, or you will rub the marker. It's probably Sharpie. Rub the ink right off the tape. So, but yeah, it is a beautiful set. It's really meant to look like something aged, and they did a really nice job. So I'll put this here. Hopefully you could see that well enough. So it's the box, the inside, a real nice sort of inside to it. I mean, but yeah, so what you get is first, you get a 32-page booklet. Really nice. So yeah, Third Man Records, record booth, Neil Young, A Letter Home. And here's the back, a vintage picture of somebody in one of these booths sort of talking. But yeah, really nice book with some great photographs. So there's the room, probably the back room of Third Man Records. And there's the booth. And then there's Jack White near the booth, and you see Neil's shadow there. It's a cool picture, some handwritten lyrics. Here's a real nice one of Neil and Jack sitting on the couch playing. More lyrics. Photographs. Yeah, so overall, a really nice booklet to go with it, So, yeah. So you get the booklet, and then you get another standard LP, no different from the other one, at least none that I could see. So yeah, this is the same version, still very rough sounding. But yeah, again, they made this look like, old. It's got, they put in an old price tag. But yeah, Letter Home. And you also get, now this version of the album was recorded from the machine straight to analog tape. So rather than having the sound cut from, taken from a record, this is much cleaner sounding. Now, don't let this, it does not have the depth of a studio acoustic recording. It is still a one microphone, really rough deal. I mean, at first I put this on, I'm like, am I listening to the right one? But quickly you realize, yes, it is a lot cleaner sounding. So I want to say in the future, I may prefer this version of it to the other one. But you see, the cover's pretty much the same, except it doesn't look as aged. So yeah, here's the original version, and here's the cleaner version. So if we could get a shot of those two together. But yeah, so again, this is still pretty rough sounding. You do hear how rough some of the performances are, you know. Specifically, there was one that I was just like, wow, that was pretty rough. Like at one point, it almost felt like he wasn't quite sure where he was going. But still very, you know, it's Neil. He also appeared on The Tonight Show, which I want to mention. And again, leave it to Neil. He goes on The Tonight Show. Now, back when he was in the Buffalo Springfield, I believe, he pretty much quit the band at one time because they had gotten a Tonight Show gig with Johnny Carson, and Neil felt he did not want to go on The Tonight Show. So here he is on The Tonight Show, and they bring the booth, and he goes in and records Crazy. He performs Crazy, and they cut the record, and they show it, you know, cutting the record, and it's just, again, leave it to Neil. This is just, you know, he's out there promoting his high-definition digital audio Pono player, but yet he puts out probably one of the most lo-fi records put out on a major label, at least in a very long time. I can't imagine anything more lo-fi than this coming out by a major artist on a major label. But anyway, so you get these two LPs, and then the box looks like this. So yeah, really nice. So this box right here, which you pull out, and they contain the 7 inches, just like that. So these are meant to look like exactly like the ones you would get out of one of these machines. So they're a bit smaller than your standard 7-inch. I don't know if they're actually full 7-inch. I wonder if it says right here. Anyway, I won't go through each one. They go in order of the album. Opens up with his intro, then goes into changes. Now you do get a bonus one, which I don't think was ever really mentioned. They're all clear. Yeah, they're a bit smaller. These are 33 RPM, by the way, not 45. So, in the bonus track, 2 bonus tracks you get is him covering Blowing in the Wind, which he does an excellent cover of that. And the second one is Crazy, done on the piano, which I actually prefer. It's a much slower, sort of moodier performance of that, and I definitely prefer it to the one on the album, you know. They all have dead wax messages, so I won't go through them all in case you're getting the box. I like personally to not know. I sort of like to just read it and find it for myself. A giant rat in there, which I don't know what that means. And this one said, the other side says, piano in the box. So yeah, the people wondered how they get the piano in the box, and they addressed that. They say, you know, they pushed the piano right up to the open door in the box. But anyway, this one, yeah, there's the first one, A Letter Home, and changes. And the dead wax here says, where is it? What does this one say? I can't really make it out. I'll check the other one. What's this one say? In the box. And there's another one that says young white males. So for Neil Young and Jack White, you know. At first I was like, what the hell does that mean? It just took a second to click, you know. All right, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. So very cool. And you get a CD. Make sure I got the right one. So yeah, CD of the album, which standard sort of Neil Young CD. And you also get a DVD. And the DVD has video of him performing these songs in the booth. I imagine in high digital audio. I have not watched this yet, but I will very soon. And they both come with little inserts as well. So yeah, a very nice box. I would say this is really for the Neil collector. I mean, if you're not a Neil collector in vinyl, the standard album will suit you just fine. But if you're, you know, completist in a lot of ways when it comes to your collecting, especially with Neil, then this is a really nice set and well worth it. So there you go, guys. This is my sort of quick review and first look at the Neil Young A Letter Home box set. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave some comments, and thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you soon.